Welcome to the Maximize Business Value podcast brought to you by Mastery Partners, where our mission is to equip business owners like you to maximize your business value and achieve the exit of your dreams, whatever that means to you. With insights gained from over 100 business transactions, we share real-world strategies, lessons, and expert advice to help you build long-term, sustainable value in your business. Each episode is hosted by one of our Mastery certified partners. They're seasoned experts who've helped countless business owners navigate the complexities of growth, scaling, and building value. They bring first-hand experience, actionable insights, and a passion for helping you build a business that thrives. So let's dive in.
Hi, this is Dave Casey, and welcome to Maximize Business Value. This is a podcast for business leaders that are passionate about building value in their business, long-term sustainable value that will really carry them forward. Today, I'm excited to introduce or reintroduce, because I think he's been on this podcast before, Jim Brewer, who's the principal at Brewer Leadership. So, Jim, welcome.
Hello, Dave. Good to see you.
Yeah. So we've known each other quite a long time, but
We have.
tell us a little bit about Brewer Leadership, what that's all
Got
about.
it. Yeah, I'd love to. So I have spent most of my career as an entrepreneur, right? So I started my first business when I was literally 21 years old. We wait till we incorporated till my birthday so we could incorporate legally. And that was a success. It was a small business, retail and small manufacturing business, and had a successful exit from that. Did some more specifically entrepreneurial kind of roles. And then I went to work for the man. I went to work for a larger organization, company called CompuServe, back in the day.
Remember them
And
well in the Dallas
it,
market, you know.
yeah, but CompuServe was literally, Dave, a great company. One of the things that made it so was we were providing, my role was typically providing network services to our clients. Those tended to be entrepreneurial companies. It was the early days of hooking up your PC to a
Yep.
mainframe back in those days, back when we had mainframes. And so literally on a day-to-day, week-by-week basis, I had a chance to hang out with entrepreneurs. I supported, was responsible for several branch offices, and the branch offices were great. They would tee things up, and then I'd get an opportunity to come in and finish the deal, meet the people that were driving the business, make sure it was a good fit for them and for us. And it was just a joy. And I learned so much. Several of the principals there from CompuServe had come from IBM,
Yeah.
were highly skilled, understood what the complex sales process really looked like. We did a good job of training younger people to uncover the leads, close the leads, and provide the services
Yeah.
at CompuServe. And it was just, it was ideal. And
Yeah, it's great when you have an entrepreneurial company, but you have that underpinning of people that come from Fortune, 50 or Fortune
yeah,
20 companies probably back then. That helps a
but it
lot.
was still entrepreneurial because the growth curve was,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
was extraordinary,
Yeah, I
right?
started my career with Burroughs Corporation, which was a very small competitor to IBM in relative terms, a tenth their size, but number two in the
Yeah,
mainframe world.
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
But it was a good opportunity because you do learn business from the aspect of a Fortune-sized company and how to do business and how to conduct yourself personally for one thing, but also just how business works, and that's wonderful things to apply when you're dealing with smaller businesses. So
I hadn't even really thought about this. I didn't know which questions or
yeah,
what
yeah,
path we would go down together. Uh, but I remember when I hired on at CompuServe, the CEO at the time was a guy by the name of Charlie McCall, and we were a small enough organization. I was less than employee number 50, I think. And so Charlie interviewed us all. And that interview was really interesting because, I came to listen to the CEO, the words from down on high. And he said, Jim, what business do you think we're in? I said, Charlie, it looks like we're in the time sharing business. And we were back then. And he said, you're right. He said, but what I want you to know is we'll change. We have changed a number of times before this. We will change a number of times after this. And so what we're looking for is quality people and the right mindset. And if don't get attached to the business that you think we are in.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that was great advice. Great advice. Super. So you're at CompuServe. How do you get to Brewer leadership?
Uh, well, it was from boredom, first of all. At the time, and it doesn't sound like a boring job, I was responsible for one of the things we did in network services was carry credit card transactions for both authorization and settlement. And I was responsible for the Vista relationship, the sales side
Yeah.
of the
Yeah.
Vista relationship. And if there's only one thing that's more frustrating than working with a bank, and it's working with an association of banks. And so, so I've been doing that for a while. I went to my boss, a guy by the name of Clark Woodford, and my mentor there at CompuServe, and I said, Clark, I'm bored to tears.
Yeah.
He said, Brewer, you make a lot of money. You fly around the country. You've got the perfect job. I went, yeah, but it looks exactly the same day after day. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
problems are slightly different, but they're really the same. And we solve them and move on. And I'm just bored to tears.
Yeah.
And Dave, he said, well, interesting, you should bring it up. He said, we have just bought a company that's in your neck of the woods, is down in Dallas. And they are a local area networking company. They sell the workstations, they figure out all the connectivity to hook those workstations together. It's the perfect partnership because we're doing wide area networking. They're doing local area networking. We think that there's great synergy, and I need somebody on the ground to take them. They're a great company. The only thing wrong with them is they're a single city model. They're really only in Dallas. Got some large customers like MCI that have locations around the country, but they're really a single city. And we're a national model. We need them to be a national model. He said, so I want you to meet the entrepreneurs that run that company and see how you can help them. Well, the entrepreneurs that ran that company was a guy by the name of Mark Cuban and
Hey.
his partner. It was the first, Mark had a couple of entrepreneurial ventures
Yep.
before that, but nothing of
But
any
Micro
size.
Solutions was that one. Yeah.
And Micro Solutions was that one.
Yeah. Yeah. Know it
And
well.
so that
Know
was
it well.
so that was great fun. And he's everything that you seem to be on Shark Tank
Yep. Yep.
or behind the bench at the Mavericks in the old days.
Wow. So that moves you from IBM, big behemoth kind of company to medium-sized company to true entrepreneurship and let's grow this thing. That's
Yeah,
cool. That's
yeah.
cool.
Yeah. And so that's what I like to do, Dave. We have an opportunity to work together. It's one of the joys I have in working with Mastery Partners and your family of companies is you work with great entrepreneurs, and that's my life's mission. That's what I
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
enjoy doing. That's what
Yeah.
Brewer
That's
leadership is all
that's
about.
perfect. So that leads me into my next question. So we're talking about, the reason that we work together is EOS, the EOS framework that we've adopted at Mastery Group, and you are our implementer. So you're the ones that keeps us on the straight and narrow.
My
So
pleasure, as
talk
well as
about
I
your
can.
your EOS practice and how does EOS, I know this from our standpoint, but just overall, how does EOS work with a company and what does it add and how does that work? And how long have you been doing EOS stuff?
I've been doing it. I'll answer the last question first. I've been doing EOS since 2019.
Okay.
and began to license the intellectual property for EOS. And I was a Vistage chair at the time. I'm still a Vistage chair.
Yeah.
And
We'll talk a little about
I
that
had
later
a
too.
couple of
Yeah.
clients that EOS would do. So I put my foot in the water and began to implement EOS. Uh, the interesting thing about your question, Dave, is I think it has to do more with the mindset of the leaders of that company
Hmm.
than it does the business that they're in, the stage that they're at, the opportunity profile of that they look like. It's about the mindset, right? EOS is a lousy fit for organizations, what you might call lifestyle businesses, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It takes people that are more uh, quo than by the adventure of doing something different, right? Partly it is that we're going to bring some tools and they have to have the mindset to adopt those tools, but they have to be growth-minded sort of folks to make that work. A mastery group would be a great example, right?
Hmm.
So that's the mindset you bring to the table for you and your clients. And that's why I think if it's been a success and you're the best judge of that, if that's why I think.
Cool. Yeah, and it certainly has helped us. Just from the standpoint where we are three companies under one umbrella, and so right away there's a division of effort and communication. There's inherently communication issues that happen, but it's a wonderful discipline for us to minimize unnecessary meetings, is what I'll just say, and then focus on what's important, and but make sure that we've created those communications back and forth between the divisions or the companies, if you will, and it's provided a great platform for us. So when we encounter business owners, and as you know, our sweet spot's kind of that $5 million to $50 million size companies. We tend to be probably on a lower end of that a little bit for most opportunities, and a lot of times a business is a great business, a great idea, great people, but just a little jumbled, and EOS is something we always recommend to folks. And even if they don't use EOS, if they use any of the platforms, it's not like we're exclusive to EOS, but we know it well. We use it internally, so it's kind of like it's kind of an advantage that we have. And Yeah, I liken that to back in the days. I was in the IT services business as well. When Windows NT came out, and it was a pretty big undertaking to deploy Windows NT, a lot more involved than saying doing Novell, which was another operating system at the
Right.
time for local area networks. And But we did NT internally because our clients were doing NT. So we weren't big enough that we probably needed all that Microsoft could do for us, but we did it so that we kind of knew what the customer experience was going to be like. So I liken that to our EOS environment when we talk to people. So
What would you, and this is your interview, it
yeah.
seems strange, but I'm a question
Yeah.
asker. What would you say the biggest impact that EOS has had on some of your client portfolio?
You know, it gives us a common language, which is really good. Because as you know, our clients are all over the gym. We've got people in steel fabrication business, software companies, home services companies, you name it. If there's a way to make money, we've probably got those guys in our portfolio. And so it is a common language. I mean, we can quickly, when we sit down for our monthly visit with a client, how are we doing against our rocks for the quarter, right? And when we look at numbers and scorecards, it's a common language. So it really makes our ability to zero in on the things that we think we can help them with much quicker. So we're not gathering and trying to sort a lot of different information. And okay, I got to remember this company does it this way, this company does it that way. So if they're doing it the EOS way, we're pretty much
And from
to
my
talk.
perspective, also, Dave, it is a perfect fit because what EOS doesn't do that Mastery Partners does, Mastery Group does in various
Hmm.
different ways, is identify the inherent value
Right.
of an organization. And for that entrepreneur, have the opportunity to focus on what that value is. I think one of the slogans that runs around the organization is everybody's going to have a transition event sooner or later of one kind or another,
Yeah.
and the inherent value is really important. And EOS addresses growth, it addresses accountability, it addresses setting some 90-day goals like rocks and yearly goals and 10-year goals and all that stuff. But we don't identify the inherent value of the company in the relationship to that ultimate transition
Yeah.
event, whatever it
Yeah.
turns out to be.
Yeah. And then, of course, obviously the title of this podcast, the Maximize Business Value Podcast. We're all about helping the business owner maximize the value of their company. And and that may be different tasks or different procedures or things that you do at different points in time. So when we work with a client, we'll normally identify the levers they need to pull to generate the most value, let's say in the next quarter or the next year or whatever. So let's concentrate on those things. Doesn't mean we're going to abandon the other things. Doesn't mean we'll never get to them. It's almost like short-term versus long-term issues, or what's a rock and what's an issue and those kind of things. So it's fun. I mean, it really is, and it's very helpful, and that
Dave, do you
we work
remember a
together.
couple or 3 years ago when we started the EOS journey with Mastery Group?
Hmm.
After we get everybody on the same page and just have a meeting to introduce the concepts, first formal meeting we have is called Focus Day.
Yeah.
And and in Focus Day, we talk about a concept called hitting the ceiling.
Yep.
And every growth oriented organization is going to reach critical times
Yep.
that they're stuck.
Yep.
Either they're stuck personally, their division or the folks that they're responsible for in the organization are stuck, or the whole company is
Yep.
stuck.
Yep.
And and one of three things happen, right? They either that takes them down, and that happens all too often in entrepreneurial for
Yep.
companies. You know the stats better than I do. I'm sure everybody that's watching this knows the stats. Most entrepreneurial for companies don't survive, uh, or that inflection point might just be limiting their growth. They might just flatten out.
Hmm.
But there is an opportunity to do what we call breaking through the ceiling, right? And so, what I think is so unique with EOS is we don't start with, I mean, we've got a great one-page strategic plan called the VTO. We get into that in subsequent meetings, but we start with the organizational structure of the organization. We start with tactics and then go to strategy,
Yep.
right? And it's because that hitting the ceiling and recognizing that there's some tools that'll help you in those challenging moments that we start that way. Everybody expects us to start with the VTO and the 10-year target. Where are we going to be in 10 years and all those
Yep.
kind of things? But we don't.
Yeah, and that was hard. I mean, that was hard to how can we be tactical if we don't know the strategy, But
How can you be strategic if you don't have,
yeah,
the foundation in place?
yeah, it's very, very true. So cool. So EOS, and then I know you've been involved for quite a while with Vistage as well. Vistage is another organization. I was in Vistage as a CEO in a CEO group for I think seven or going on 8 years, and thoroughly enjoyed that experience. And also, it really helped me when I actually exited my business. I had my Vistage brothers greatly impacted that transaction and how things worked for me there. So tell me about your involvement with Vistage.
Thank you for tuning in to the Maximize Business Value podcast. This episode is the first of a two-part release. Part 2 will be posted next week.
Thanks for joining us for another episode of the Maximize Business Value podcast. I hope today's conversation sparked new ideas on how you can continue driving value in your business. But remember, it's not just about listening. It's about taking massive action. Visit our website, masterypartners.com, for more resources. Grab a copy of any of the books in the Maximize Business Value series on Amazon or via the links below. And don't hesitate to reach out if you want to know how to apply these concepts to your business. So until next time, I'm Tom Bronson, reminding you to relentlessly execute while you maximize business value.